In this video, we will be showing you how to replace your inner tie rod boot on your Audi Q5, located behind your driver front wheel. Let's get started with the job. Safely raise and support the vehicle so that the wheel is off the ground. To remove the hubcap, you will need to have a pick or a specialty tool to be able to fit into the groove to pull it out. To remove the lug bolts from the vehicle, we will need a 17mm socket. We will remove the first lug bolt, check it for inspection, and restart it back in a couple threads to prevent the wheel from falling off. As we remove the last bolt, hold the wheel so that it does not fall. Now that we have the wheel off the vehicle, we can get behind the rotor. There is a 21mm 12-point nut that is holding on our outer tie rod end. If you do not have the 12-point socket to remove it, a nice close-ended wrench will be able to do the job. Now we can break it free. Before we take our 12-point nut out, we can focus on loosening our jam nut. For this, you will need a 24mm open-ended wrench. With the jam nut loosened, we can go ahead and remove our 12-point nut all the way. There's our nut. Now we can tap out our ball joint. We're now going to need to remove our ball joint from this knuckle right here. To do it, we will need to air hammer it or use a regular hammer to punch it out. You can either put your old nut at the top of the stud, screw it down a couple threads, and hammer the base of it right at the top. In this case, I have a stud driver. For the Audi Q5, the size is at M12 by 1.5. Before we start hammering away, let's remove our wheel speed sensor connector and move it out the way. Now that we have it at a safe height, we can now use a hammer to tap it out, or we can use an air hammer. Remove the stud. And now we have our ball joint free. Now to take out our outer tie rod, we're going to need to count how many times we rotate it out. So that would be one rotation. Continue that process until you have it all the way out. 2, 3, 4, 16, 17, 18, 19. Now let's remove our jam nut. Remember, our jam nut is a 24mm nut. We could use a shallow 24mm socket to take it off now. To counter hold it, we're going to want to hold the inner tie rod shaft with our 15mm wrench. And there it is. Now we can use some clip removing pliers to remove this retaining clip on our boot. We're going to release these 3 screws so that this middle side can be lowered and give us more access to our clip. No need to take them all the way out as they are retaining screws. They'll stay in place. Using a pair of cutters, we can snip off the clamp that is holding onto the boot. Take off the clamp. Using some lubricant in the pick, I'm going to put our pick inside in between the rubber boot and the inner tie rod. This is going to allow us to break it free. Spread it all around. And there you have it. Now we can install our new boot. I have a cable tie that I'll be using to secure the boot down to the steering rack. I'm going to pre-fit it around, tying it up, and leaving enough space so that we can slide it over the lip. Now before we can install our new boot, we'll just need to remove our nut. Now let's go in with our boot. Make sure you get it over the lip of the steering rack. Now we can tighten up our cable tie. Make sure it's nice and snug. Cut off the tail to clean it up. Now push the front end over the seating area. Now we can use a pair of pliers and put the clamp back on. Now we can reinstall the jam nut on the inner tie rod. And now that we've memorized how many rotations it took to take out the outer tie rod, we can use that same exact number to put it in. In my case, it was 19 before it fell out. 1, 2, 3, 'Now let's re-secure our splash shield. Again, the screws were still attached to the splash shield, so all we're gonna have to do is twist it up and push them in. Now let's go ahead and reinstall our ball joint to the knuckle. Now with our ball joint stud poking through the knuckle, we can go ahead and reinstall our 21mm 12 point. The torque on the outer ball joint stud is 78 foot-pounds. Now, of course, after torquing everything down, we're going to want to make sure we don't forget to reconnect our wheel speed sensor. Give it a good tug for security, and now we can move on. Now we can snug up our jam nut. Bring it all the way down to your outer tie rod. Now we're going to use our 24mm wrench to tighten down our jam nut. Now let's install our wheel. I will be using the 17mm socket to get it started by hand. Doing this will prevent the wheel from falling off. Now install the rest by hand. Now snug them down in a star form pattern. Now with our wheels safely on the ground, let's torque our lug bolts to 103 foot-pounds in a star form pattern. After torquing the lug bolts, we will be reinstalling our hubcap. On your rim, you will see that you have 2 grooves that allow for your hubcap to slide into. On the inside of the hubcap, you will notice that you have 1 tab, and you will also have a hole. If the tabs are broken off, the easiest way you can always do this is by aligning the hole in between the 2 tabs on your rim. Anytime you do a suspension repair, you will need to take your vehicle down to a professional shop to get in alignment. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.